Now the very title of my paper is Suicide of Rohith Vemula, Ritual of Mourning and Cultural Identity in Popular Culture. I think those who are present in the seminar hall, you have heard his name, Rohith Vemula, and I would like to say something about Rohith Vemula's death, and my subject, this topic is Suicide of Rohith Vemula. And this is not at all a political issue. I am not going to present any kind of political issues, but rather my main concern that how the suicide of Rohith Vemula became a cultural identity, became a mourning of ritual. This is not a kind of suicide that Emily Durkheim tried to conceptualize in his famous book that Last Suicide or The Suicide. Now let me introduce about Rohith Vemula. You all know that, you have heard this incident. University of Hyderabad research student Rohith Vemula committed suicide. The day was January 17, 2016, almost 6 years back. He was forced to commit suicide due to severe stress, and if not directly, it was the incitement and negligence of the two Indian ministers and vice chancellor of the university. And Rohith Vemula wrote his suicide note. That is my topic of the presentation, his suicide note. And this suicide note was published on 19 January 2016 in Times of India. It's a long suicide note, and my main concern is that suicide note. And I just mentioned some lines from that suicide note. The value of a man was reduced to his immediate identity and nearest possibility. To a vote, to a number, to a thing. Never was a man treated as a mind, as a glorious thing made up of stardust, in every field, in studies, in streets, in politics, and in dying and living. And he's saying, the last word, my birth is my fatal accident. And later on, he committed suicide. Now, what happened after this? After the death of or after the suicide of Rohith Vemula, he became the symbol of protest. He became a symbol of mourning. He became a ritual of mourning. Now, as you know that in our previous session, our scholar Judy Research has clearly tried to conceptualize what is ritual. You know that ritual. And my objective is this paper that this suicide, or after this suicide, how we mourn, how we celebrate every year of the date of Rohith Vemula, it became a part of our ritual. You have heard Mourning Biswas. I think you all have heard Mourning Biswas. Mourning Biswas was a teacher, and she was murdered. He was killed by some hooligans because he tried to protest against the anti-social activities. And every year in our social media, in Facebook, in newspaper, in TV channels, his death has been commemorated. So this is how Rohith Vemula, after the 6 years of his death, various organizations continue to express anger in the hope of justice for his institutional death. The day of his death remains a symbol of protest, with Rohith being commemorated every year, commemorating Rohith's sacrifice as well as his death becoming ritual of mourning. Cultural anthropologist Pascal writes, I am quoting from him, I do not propose to give a new theory of religious ritual. Indeed, one of the main points in the argument is that there is no until of the phenomena that he could be object of such theory. Now, Rohith's days become the ritual of symbolic exchange, because death has only given and received meaning, that is to say, it is a sociological true exchange. And the beliefs and the practices in the domain of popular culture, in the orientation of the rituals, framed within the gospel framework, the very rituals of the death of suicide become a part of the popular culture. Now, what is popular culture? I think you all heard this name, popular culture. Popular culture is about the performance. High culture is about the contemplating, high culture is about the representation, and popular culture is about what is represented, and our now social media, TV, newspaper, all became the popular culture. If you find that some greatest novel has been adapted to for the feminization, that is also a part of the popular culture. I think in your UGC syllabus you have read Ramayana, right? Ramayana or the Funny Boy. These are the texts became the popular culture. So I am trying to say that after the 6 years of Rohith Vemula's date and how we are commemorating, how we are respecting his date is become a popular culture. And now the last conception I am trying to show that Rohith Vemula's date becomes a cultural identity. How a date become a cultural identity? In date, memory and ritual culture, Elizabeth Hallam and Jenny Hockey explains the rituals of date involve material objects that are made for preservation, to be kept in view for the living, and others that are deliberately allowed to decay, having only a temporary role in the official order of the rites of this passage. And Rohith's date became the ritual of mourning, and the mourning appears in the shape of his ideological belief. His date becomes a symbol of transition, as it is well argued by Richard Huntington and Peter Metcalf in their book Celebration of Date. Date is a transition, but it is only the last in the long chain of transitions. The moment of date is related not only to the process of afterlife, but also to the process of living, acting, and producing progress. Death relates to life, to the recent life of the deceased, and to the life of or she has procreated and now leaves behind. In 2016, the Hyderabad Central University student movement sought to expose that actually happens in the university. The rejection of discrimination against the students who come to study in the university, and what is the role of the student teacher in this regard? What role does student politics play, and most importantly, what role does the university administration play? Today, Rohith Vemula movement is one of the reasons why Dalit, tribal, and other backward students are not afraid to study in the universities in the year 2022. And Rohith's date gives rise to a cultural identity. Rohith Vemula gave birth to a ritual of mourning, and large-scale mourning was clearly a noteworthy phenomenon that had erupted in the response in the quiet Israeli day. Before committing suicide, Rohith was fasting for 12 days. All the scholarships from the university was stopped. He was a JRF scholar. That's why he was getting the scholarship of amounting rupees to 2016 means 20,000 around. And last 6 years, 6 months, the university denied to give him any kind of scholarship. And when Rohith Vemula committed suicide, he came out of the hostel with a photocopy of Ambedkar and committed suicide. And after his death, after his suicide, the student movement was not only confined in Hyderabad University, it spread towards JNU, Calcutta University, Presidency University, and all the leading universities of India. So actually I am trying to say that it is impossible to say that how much in the momentum of the student movement depend upon Rohith's date, but Rohith became a symbol of the student movement in universities across India. By protesting his date, the lead backward students got the courage to strengthen the ideals of the subsequent student movement. Rohith became the ritual of mourning for all people. Even after so many years of date, Rohith lives in contemporary times. Rohith survives as a cultural identity. Rohith lives in our popular culture. Therefore, by commemorating him every year on the day of his death, the respect shown to him as well as the practice of his ideals by people are memorials and bearers of his cultural identity in popular culture through the ritual of mourning. Thank you.
How aesthetic and how it is running quick in our mind. And this is a kind of culture of identity. The Indian we mourn the days of conventional music. What is the utility of mourning subjects? And do we derive a kind of lesson from such mourning? a kind of lack of science, but at the same time, it is a hard reminder to think that this should not be, or this should not come in such a way.